So taking it from there, what exactly is communication design? Like, if you go out into the industry and ask for a job as a communication designer, you won't get any, because there is no such field. But within communication design, we look at so many other things. So what exactly is communication design? Can we move to the next slide, please? Okay, so what is communication design? What you can see is that it is really everything. Everything that you can actually see on a daily basis is to do with communication design. Every other field, every other field in design also is completely dependent on communication. So by itself, Karan?
Yeah, it doesn't really stop at making brochures or websites or anything. Like even if you're talking about an app, the way an app has been packaged and being sold to the market, that is all communication design. Including a phone that you buy, when you unbox the phone and the manual and the packing, everything, that's all your branding, marketing, and promotion of a product. So that all entails communication design.
So yeah, we do all the things that we've seen in advertising. Like when I graduated, probably graphic design or applied art was more about advertising than anything else. But now we have people who are doing pure design, just graphics. Then there's a lot of publication happening all the time, not only the newspapers, but the amazing magazines that you see all over the place, as well as content that you can see on websites. And we don't really stop with just the electronic media. We also go on to spaces, which is to do with events and exhibitions. So everywhere that you can think of course, communication design is there. So we'll answer more questions pertaining to each of these if you want more help. But as of now, you can see the entire thing that is there in front of you on the screen, right? Okay, how is communication design taught at IIAD? It's very different from what it's like in other colleges, because ours is a fantastic campus. It is also developed right in front of our eyes in the last 2 years, and it's completely open to the extent that you don't have a place that you can call your classroom. The entire studio is yours. So you choose to work in that studio, and the faculty comes in and gives you a project. And the project is not going to be, a prescription. What are we going to expect at the end of it? We're not going to tell you that, but we'll tell you that, okay, we're working with web design, for example. So we'll tell you how you're going to actually learn web design. So you say, okay, pick up one of the web pages that you like most or you go to most often. And then we're actually pulling it apart to understand what it is like and how we actually can take it forward. And we also talk about something like interdisciplinary, to say that since we do have 3 disciplines, a communication design student is not going to know anything about, say, fashion or IIT. They have worked together in level 4, which is the second year, and they know how each of them works. And they also know the typical software and the kind of lessons that each of them has to learn, so they can apply to it. So what we're doing is not putting people in boxes and saying you're a communication design person, so this is what you do. Thing is that when you come out into the industry, you really don't know what to expect. You might be prepared for anything and everything that comes to you, and you'll be prepared for that. So
yeah, the more important fact is that we don't have a classroom teaching environment. It's more of a studio, and we try to give the students a lot of what actually happens in the industry. So even the projects that are out there in the market, the way we've structured it and the way we teach it here is based on mentors. We encourage the students to bring out the best in them, use their brain, use their thinking, and basically just teach them how to think, not just give them the tools. So that really sets us apart from the other institutes out there.
So we have plenty of guest lecturers coming over and speaking to our students. So it's not only what the teachers say, it's also about what the industry people have to come and tell. So if I have taken a class where I've taught students the basics of printing, I'll have a person who comes and also conducts a workshop. For example, students did some screen printing like that. So the next thing is that, okay, go visit a printing press and see how offset printing is also done. So at the end of it, it's not like what I taught them about printing in the classroom. It's about what they have worked with their hands. So that's they're very unlikely to forget that ever. And people also get hands-on internship. So they're supposed to work between every 2 years, between level 4 and 5, between 3 and 4. So they are working with the industry and they come back with a fair idea. Even if it's not about understanding where exactly they want to work, at least they have learned how to eliminate what they don't want to do. For example, a student might go into advertising with some kind of, rose-tinted glasses, thinking this is what he wants to do, might come back after 2 months of interning with an ad agency and say, I don't want to work there, which is also fantastic learning because at least he won't make a mistake about going to the wrong industry ultimately. And as we speak, one of our students has been offered internship in New York with a project that he had already been working on in the past. So many of them are actually working freelance and continuing, and we are completely encouraging that. And as faculty, we help them wherever they get stuck. And even getting these projects and sustaining them, teaching them how to, get the money out from people at the same time how they're supposed to earn. All of it is part of the teaching that happens in the classroom. Yeah.
How we really are different from the other places is the same thing I told you guys. It's very different because we don't have a classroom structure. We have a more of a studio, a very open flow kind of a teaching here, where the students are encouraged more to think and to really experiment, and more importantly, fail. In the beginning, because we don't really encourage that you bring us assignments or submissions which are bang on. We would really encourage that you think out of the box, experiment more with your exploration, with your research. So there's a lot of to and fro that happens with the faculty involved. Along with that, we have interdisciplinary projects, where the kids are not only working with one department, you're working with fashion design, you're also working with interior architecture, understanding how design really operates in different realm as well. Along with that, there is a concept called reverse engineering, where we're not only focusing on the product, we really focus and we really push the student to understand how a product is actually made. The whole methodology, the whole design process that goes, in making a product.
The amazing part is also that we encourage them to write. So each of them will actually, at the end of it, have a reflection on what their learning has been. So even if not now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, they can probably take back their notes and figure out for themselves that they've actually understood something, like something that is not very apparent right now, perhaps, but they're going to reflect on it and come back to, use it in their industry experience. So anyway, and as a mandate, I think when we wrote the curriculum, we were very sure that our students at the end of 4 years should be absolutely ready for industry. So how are you going to be entrepreneurs, or are you going to study further, or how are you going to make yourself fit into the industry is something each of the students will have to be ready to face. It's not the easiest because they are going to be in a protected space, at least they think so. But by the time our student graduates, they will be ready for the industry. And as far as Kingston is concerned, even if they have given us their validation, we're not exactly doing what they do in the curriculum there. We do it our way. And it's something that we have taken pride in, the fact that there is a contextualization to the Indian context, and we are allowed to do whatever we want. For example, I will show you some images as we go along about how the student has actually immersed himself or herself in the culture of the city at a particular time. So you understand the entire area that you already belong in locally. So even if there are students from abroad, they're getting an opportunity to see places that our students are going to. And the fact is that we do have students from all over the country also. So for everybody, it is actually getting to understand the country, the way we operate, because design is not going to be boxed separately. It is for the people that we live with.
We just had somebody ask a question if the course is accepted on a global platform. Yes, it is. The reason why, because we have the projects which are tuned by checking in with the industry people. We have people coming in. We ask them regularly what exactly are they looking for in graduates. So very regularly we keep updating our the teaching also that happens here. So when the kid graduates from IIAD, they're completely ready to sit in the studio and tackle any kind of project that's thrown at them. So it's very, very relevant.
And just to bring some more information about that, we have all the RSA briefs, we have DNAD briefs, all these briefs which are already brought into the classroom. So the student knows how to compete on an international platform. It is not something that they can not do. Like just recently, 20th March was the last date for DNAD briefs. There have been students who have participated, and we look forward to some good participation and awards coming in from there also soon. And Kingston being party to whatever we do, whatever applies to Kingston applies to us. So if Kingston is accepted all over the world. So is IIAD. I'm just taking you through some of the work that the students have done. This is the one I was talking to you about, where the students have put together information about the Durga Puja in the city. So a whole lot of research has gone into it, and just showing you a snapshot of what we do over there. So there is a fair amount of writing, a fair amount of research. There's also a fair amount of photography that comes into it as a basic to everything that a communication design student learns. Next is a typography. This is a new font that has been designed by one of our students. They understand all the fonts that are there, they understand the vernacular, they understand the typicalities that are expected in a font, and apply all the software with the help of an expert, typography artist who comes in only for this workshop. So at the end of it, they have this, and of course, if I were to show you a lot more about this, it's about how these get applied and how these actually go into software and all. You don't need to get into that right now. This is an ad campaign done by one of the students. So it's not as if we're doing only the pretty picture. We are also looking at the country the way it is and how advertising works. We're also looking at branding. So this is just the brand manual's cover. So ICA was a brief that was given by one of our experts, who's a branding expert in the industry. So he had conducted this workshop with the students, and this was a brand for women, which is typical, rather upmarket. So the brief was given, and the entire look and feel for the product was created, including all the packaging and everything else that goes into it. The web design.
Yeah, we also focus a lot on how websites are made, but more importantly, understanding the design and the flow process that happens in our website. Not only focusing on the color palettes that they use, but also a deep understanding of color theory. There's certain colors which evoke certain emotions with the people experiencing the website, and understanding the construction of a website from the point of view of experience and interaction. So it makes it very, very easy for a student to really understand, the whole, the dialogue of making a website, and how and what is an effective website and what is not. So that is all taught here in detail.
So even culling, content from wherever you go, and then trying to find out how and who it is for, and so on. This is the film. Just this morning, we had the first screening of this particular bunch of films, 7 films made by 6 groups. So this is one of them. This is one of our studios, which has been converted into a space for film. So this is one of our studios, and all the tables and chairs and everything have been made. And you can see there is a monitor right here. So the photography happened here, the editing happened here, and we were completely ready for almost a decent looking film actually. This is students working on different equipment. Not that we have all of them, but we make sure that the students get hands-on experience with every equipment that is possible. Someday, whenever they want to, at least they know that this is a reach that this particular equipment can achieve for them. So there's a lot of learning that goes into this. Over 4 weeks, these people learned everything there was to do in film in that particular nutshell. Anybody who wants to specialize it in it further, of course, will have to learn it in greater depth much later. This is just what they do as a preliminary class.
Actors ready? Cameraman ready? Action!
Okay. This is illustration done by one of our senior students. This is something she does most passionately. Where she will apply it is something that we are still having a conversation about. But the intricacy of the work and the amount of concentration that goes into it is like amazing to see. I just wanted to put this up because this is the kind of work that you are going to be able to do. This is still work in progress. It's not really complete. You can see parts of it that are still, you know, in progress. But yes, when you do work, it's not necessary that, like everybody might assume that it's going to be all computers. It's not really going to be computers. Computers is used like a tool, no doubt, but manual skills are also completely encouraged, and we do help them learn a little more of it also, because expression can be in any medium. So we're not really going to restrict. The people who come in assuming you're going to sit at the computer, the moment you come to the college, can probably stop thinking about it like that. Okay. Career opportunities, animation you want to talk about?
Yeah. We also run a 4-week model along with the film making model, which is for animation, understanding how you write a script for animation, what are the elements of a good story, how to make one small animation, just running your typical work cycle, along with making you use softwares like Adobe Animate and Adobe After Effects and Adobe Premiere. So in this 4-week capsule, the students are exposed to a variety of filmmaking techniques, which they then apply to animation. And not only focusing on animation movies, but also interactive animation and animation which is used for your websites or for app and other stuff. You also have a lot of opportunities in film and theater, as you've seen in the slides before, along with a heavy focus on branding and advertising as well. And we also have a focus on content and publication design. It's a very thorough model that is being taught here, completely focusing on the A's and the B's and the A to Z of publication design. The next thing that we started recently is the UX and UI, which is focusing on the technology and making app, understanding how an app is made. And this very closely relates to the flow, that we already covered in our website module. We're working with softwares like Sketch and Envision, and we have classes which are solely focused on deconstructing an app, picking an app which you like, picking an app which you don't like, and then understanding the differences between both of them, and then going on about creating your own apps.
It's actually fantastic to see that people are working on so many of these things. Basically, the idea is that after having done all these in the last year, they will take up one of 4 pathways. So one of these pathways is also going to be experience or exhibition design. So understanding, say, retail spaces or how exhibition spaces are organized, or even understanding, like if you were to organize, say, a launch of a product, what is the space going to be like, how exactly is the show window going to look like, and how is signage going to be organized. All that is something that we will be looking at also. And the other pathway, of course, is to do with a lot of graphics, which might be very heavy with typography, illustration, and everything else. So illustration and photography is something that every student does and applies as we go along. So a person who is good with illustration might use it again, say, in animation further, or might just use it for, say, publication design. It's a possibility. Of course, each of these can be worked and they intertwine beautifully. So it's not to say that a person who does film will not know typography, or a person who does illustration will not work with advertising. So they all interspersed, and within the discipline itself, there is a lot of overlap. And that's the best part of being in communication.
We have a lot of projects which help you and pretty much push you to work with other disciplines also, because effectively when you're going outside and working in the field, you're not just rubbing shoulders with designers. You'll be working on briefs from the fashion design industry, or maybe from the interior architecture or the product design industry. So you really get a complete spectrum of how design should be taken up as a career option.
Yes.
Yeah, we can go on the next slide.
Thank you so much, Usha ma'am and Karan sir, for a thorough brief on communication design. This is Rimsham Khanna from Indian Institute of Art and Design, the admission counselor. So, Indian Institute of Art and Design offer 3 undergraduate degree disciplines. We have communication design, we have fashion design, and interior architecture design. The final degree is awarded by Kingston University, London. IIAD is in collaboration with Kingston University, London. This is a glimpse of a letter which is by Kingston University. So you can just go through that. Well, Kingston University is ranked among top 10 art and design universities in UK. And yes, it is also ranked as top 3 undergraduate fashion schools in UK. Once you complete the undergraduate degree course in any discipline, whether it's fashion design, interior architecture design, or communication design from Indian Institute of Art and Design, you are awarded with the degree and the alumni status of Kingston University, London. So you will be treated as a student of Kingston University only, with the level and quality of education as per Kingston. I'll go through, I'll get to you, I want to draw your attention towards IIAD admission procedure. So the eligibility criteria is the students who are pursuing their 12th standard, who are appearing in their boards, they are 100% eligible to apply for IIAD. Else, students who have completed their 12th standard with minimum 50% in their 12th, any stream, science, commerce, or humanities, can apply for IIAD with 60% above in English. The selection criteria is based on 2 things. The first is iDAT, that is IIAD Design Aptitude Test, wherein a student will be judged on the basis of design and creativity questions with logical reasoning. So there are 2 parts, logical reasoning, and second, a design and a creative based questions. The second, we have a portfolio assessment and a studio simulation round. So a mandatory 2.5 hours test will be conducted. That is, again, I'm repeating, it's iDAT, IIAD Design Aptitude Test, which is divided into 2 sections. The section A is logical reasoning. The section B is creative thinking and visual ability. So we are not asking questions on the basis of science, maths, or English, or GK. The questions will be totally based on design aptitude and little bit of creativity and logical reasoning. When we talk about portfolio, I would like Usha ma'am, could you please help students to understand more about portfolio, what is required, and the studio simulation test?
Okay, when we talk about portfolio, we would like very much that you bring something that is original. We understand that many of you might have been training to become design aspirants and must be putting together a portfolio. So if you can actually show us and display for us the actual you can actually tell us in your portfolio what your actual passion is. So if you come back to us and tell us that you are really interested in communication design, and we ask you why, what is the kind of ad that you can react best to, or which is your favorite animation, we don't want you not to know that. We would like very much for you to have done some kind of homework before coming. So if we are telling you about the various fields that exist within communication design, where exactly do you see yourself? We can understand that you might not be very, very clear because there are many areas which are still probably not very clear to you. But at least broadly, if you can say that you really enjoy a particular medium, or if we ask you which is the one film that actually, made you take a decision that, you want to do films all your life, you should be able to talk about it. And your portfolio should somehow display variety. Like, we understand that many of you are probably doing manga drawing and you're probably copying from here and there, but we'd also like to see some variety in kind of mediums that you're using and the kind of work that you're doing. Because believe me, if 20 students come from the same place, we don't want 20 identical portfolios, because it makes it very difficult for us to identify one from the other as better or worse. So just make sure that there is a lot of originality. And when you bring photographs that you have all clicked, please don't try and show it to us on the phone. We don't want to see them. Okay.
Just to add into what Usha ma'am said, the very fact that we run our studios as not as classrooms but as studios, I would highly recommend everybody, if their portfolios are more a reflection of your own personality, because that's very, very important for us. We would love to see what kind of stuff inspires you, what kind of stuff that you've been watching, any references, any drawings or any illustration that you've done on the site, which are more relevant to your desired course of education here. That would be much more preferable to see in your portfolio. So that would be it.
Yeah, right. And when you say studio simulation, the idea was that we didn't want to pay so much attention to the portfolio as much as to the studio simulation, because the studio simulation is more about how you can work in a team, solve a problem, and take ownership of the design that you have created. So it will be a group activity, and it will be done over an hour or so. So what will happen is we will be giving you a topic, and we'll also give you some material. So with that material, we will be giving you one or two options that you could choose from, and then you're supposed to create something. So leave it open with that. I just read up, look up information that you can about 3D structures and stuff like that. So don't overthink this, except that you come ready for a wonderful experience. And it's also about how well, no design is going to be happening. I can't work alone. I have to have a team. So this is about team. It's about how each of you can actually convince each other and come out with a product which actually suits the purpose. So I mean, it's a small exercise. It isn't a huge exercise. So we're not expecting some complicated output. And we also understand that you're not doing something at the end of 4 years. This is at the beginning of 4 years of education. So we like something that is simple and a solution which works very well within your group. Of course, it is about how you present it, how you take ownership of what you have done instead of playing the blame game at that stage, and also how much maturity you are able to display when you actually have some kind of ideas that you could actually take through to a final product. So keep it open, be excited about it. Don't get tense about it. It's going to be fun, and we're not here to judge you. We want the students. We're not trying to chase you away. But at the same time, we are not also trying to take everybody and anybody who wants to do design. We'd like to be a little selective, because people who cannot think design should not do it.
And please bring your personalities. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, lots of sense of humor also, please.
Okay, thank you so much, Usha ma'am and Karan sir. So students who are applying for interior architecture and design, the foremost thing is maths and physics are not mandatory subjects. So students can be from humanities stream also to apply for interior architecture and design course. However, the students who are appearing for NATA, their NATA score will be acceptable. But since there is a change in NATA's eligibilities and procedures, we are conducting our entrance exam before the NATA's exam. So it's important for students who are applying for interior architecture and design course to give our own entrance exam, that is iDAT. So you have to appear in iDAT as well. On completion of your application form, as an applicant, you will be given with these sample papers. So once a student completes the application form, on your registered email ID, you will be given with a sample paper. So sample paper is the key to enter into IIAD. I recommend students to solve each question in 10 different ways. And yes, you have to apply, then only you will get the sample paper. We do offer scholarships. So IIAD offers two kinds of scholarships. First, we have the entry-level scholarship. So once the student completes the application form, along with the sample paper, we will be giving you a scholarship form. There is no any extra cost of the scholarship. It's just a PDF form that you have to fill it, download it, scan it, and mail it back to us. The second scholarship that we have is Edward Newton Scholarship. So the entry-level scholarship eligibility is the students who are appearing in class 12 they are 100% eligible to apply for scholarship, and the ones who have completed their 12th, the minimum percentage should be 70% in class 12. The selection criteria is their performance in IIAD design aptitude test, the portfolio, and the studio simulation test. If you have any further questions, it's best to speak to the admission counselors. The numbers are on the screen. You can note it down. Else, you can you can email to apply@iiad.edu.in, and you can visit the website for further details. You can also connect with us on social media. We are on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Pinterest also. So for any further details, please connect or contact. Hope to see you at IIAD.
Thank you so much, Rimjim. So if you could just give us a minute. All right, so we'll begin taking the questions. We have one question from Sushil Bhatt. So he's asking, is it possible for a student to pursue MBA or Masters in Mass Comm after completing their undergraduation?
Yes, you can. You can. Please go ahead.
Yeah, and even I think there was another question where they were asking about the eligibility in UK. So it is completely possible. After your King's University degree from IIAD, you are eligible to apply for any postgrad certificate program in United Kingdom. And in the morning only, we had a conversation with the Leeds Becker University about having our students over for their PG program. So it's a complete yes on that.
Okay, perfect. There's another question from Vigneshwaran. He asks, where are the students going to be placed after they complete the graduation?
We're already talking to people. Anyway, we are one whole year before placements. Our senior most class is still 1 year away from this thing, but we're already looking at possibilities of placement everywhere. And plenty of internships are already underway. And we already have, lots of people asking for students, and students are applying right now. 1 or 2 have already been placed, and this is for a 3-month internship between third year and fourth year.
And Vigneshwaram, if this really answers your question, the kind of places, the studios that we're looking at UI UX design cells. We're looking at animation studios. We're also looking at film production, small agencies. So it's not really like just one place where we're sending our students. It's a wide variety of design places that we're sending the students to.
And students actually opt for what they want to do. If somebody wants to work with UX UI, we try to make sure that they get into those kind of studios only.
Okay. The next question is from Aditi. She's asking if IIAD has any exchange programs, and if yes, what are the colleges or universities?
That is possible, Aditi. Kingswood University is our natural partner, but we are also, what is this?
We're also looking at other UK
We're also looking at
universities.
UK universities. So that is.
I mean, there's still we're looking at some memorandums of understanding on this. As of now, we don't have such an understanding. Anyway, we haven't. I mean, it's just absolutely brand new, so lots of things will fall in place as we go along.
The next question is from Palak Agarwal. She's asking opportunities in styling and blogging. Yes, definitely. I think a major part of our teaching here is and for students in fashion design, also in communication design, is doing a reflective log of what they're doing. So that in turn reflects and takes the shape of a blog, a personal blog, of whatever the finding and research analysis and method has been. So yeah, that's a complete yes on that answer too.
All right. So the next question is from Nivedita. Is it all right that I have no previous knowledge about working on any kind of software?
It's perfectly all right. Actually, we do train you as we go along. So when you come, I think as long as you know how to handle the basic computer, which I think everybody does in school, it's all right. The rest of it we take care of. That's all right.
Okay, so the next question is by Tushar Ghosh. When is the iDAT test conducted? Okay, so Tushar, if you are choosing New Delhi as the entrance exam center, then the date is 14th of April, 15th, 16th, and 17th. So your iDAT will be on 14th. Your interview, portfolio, and studio simulation will be on 15th, 16th, 17th. However, if you are choosing outstation, whether it's Bhopal, Calcutta, Lucknow, or Bangalore, the entrance is on 23rd and 24th of April.
Thank you, Rimjim. Now the next question is by Mr. Sanatan Sai. He's asking, what is the difference between simple communication design and fashion communication?
Okay, fashion communication is going to be more about fashion. The fact is that it's more about content about fashion. Like these students who do FMC or fashion media communication, these people will learn a lot about blogging about fashion. So their content is more fashion related. They will learn a lot about fashion also because that's the only way they can start reporting about fashion. So they would ideally be working with as fashion bloggers, or they would be doing fashion magazines, or they will be working with stylists closely. So which is different from what we do. We're talking about multimedia, we're talking about all the media, we're talking about radio, television and everything, and not necessarily only fashion. We might be even talking about AIDS, and we might be selling shampoo. So that's different. That's not what a fashion person would do.
Okay. The next question is from Ahmad Mishal. He's asking, so if I'm an aspirant in filmmaking, should I have any experience with filmmaking or have attempts at making one?
To answer your question, Emma, no prior experience is actually needed. What is actually needed is your love for cinema, your passion for filmmaking. Whatever you've attempted with your camera phone or whatever camera, whatever gadget tool you have, that's a big plus. And it's our job as faculty and mentors here, when you come in, walk through the doors of IIAD, that we teach you, what good film is. Deconstructing a film, understanding a graph of a good script, whether it be a documentary or a musical, whatever, all of that is taken care by us.
Whatever you bring to the table is welcome, but we're not expecting that you would have that kind of knowledge.
Okay. The next question is from Sonamika. She asked, she has a question about the portfolio. So she asked, is it okay if it is not out of my mind, like if I've referred to something from the internet?
It's okay that you refer. Obviously, everything cannot be from your mind right now. It's okay, but just make sure that you note where it is from. So that at least there is also, you might want to add a picture of the original and say this was the original and this is what I did with it. So it's just a good way for us to know how much you can actually do on your own. It's actually understanding of media. Don't kill yourself about it. It's all right.
Mm-hmm. All right. So it's a question related to portfolio itself, and it comes from Ahmad Mishal again. So he states that making a portfolio becomes a little overwhelming for some students.
Mm.
So is it okay, and especially for those students who are not very comfortable making abstract or expressive art, is any other kind of work acceptable?
See, as we go along, we would like to completely rule away the necessity of a portfolio. Because we will teach you how to sharpen your first pencil. We will also teach you how to do everything. So your portfolio, don't worry so much about it. Whatever you bring, as long as it's original and something you've done happily, we're okay to see it. And just make sure it present it nicely. Don't bring kachra.
Also to address, I think this might be a common question everybody's having. Really don't focus on bringing us perfect portfolios. We know for a fact you guys are just starting with your learning spectrum. So whatever you have so far, whatever your expressions have been, your trials, your attempts at whatever has inspired you, that should be part of your portfolio. And more importantly, bring your personality. That should be reflected in the portfolio, not like perfect drawings.
Okay, so I think that even answers Tushar Ghosh's question where he asked what should be included in the portfolio. So Usha ma'am and Karan sir mentioned all the details in that. The next question is, what's the difference between graphic design and communication design?
Not too much of a difference. Earlier, we didn't have so many media. So we used to call it graphic design, but because everybody who got into graphic design or applied art or commercial art, like it used to be called, in those days will necessarily get into advertising. Basically. But now communication has so many other things under its umbrella name, like we're looking at web design, we're looking at film, animation, we're looking at events. So obviously communication has changed, but you'll also do graphic design within that communication design. So they're not one and the same thing, but graphics is one part of communication design. Is that okay?
Okay. The next question is from Achint Kaur Ahuja. So he says that first year would be the foundation year. So what would we be doing after that? If you could just elaborate on the next following years.
Okay, the following year after foundation is like the foundation to communication design. So it's like the buffet served for you to pick up from. So you will do say 4 weeks of film, 4 weeks of animation, 4 weeks of understanding branding, 4 weeks of say typography and so on. So you're learning a little bit of everything. All this along with a thin strand of say what we call storytelling. We also do photography. We also learn basics of how to do research, how to understand the place that we live in. We also learn how to understand the person that we are working for. For example, a communication designer necessarily needs to know whose target audience is. So we teach you how to cull that information, put it together. So you learn all the basics. It's after that you can pick and choose a specialization and go on from there. So this is like the foundation of communication design. Is that okay?
So the next question is from Gopal Krishna. Do you have video film design as an option?
Gopal, to answer that question, we do have it as an option, but not, we don't have like a complete year focus on that. We run 2 modules, which are 4 weeks each for film and one for animation as well, where, you're given hands-on training on the cameras and also how to make your own, film and animation. So yes, we do have that as part of the program.
Okay, so Prakriti, I think we've already answered what's the difference between graphic design and communication design. There are also certain questions regarding the accommodation facilities that we have at IID. So, if Dunjim, if you could just elaborate more on that.
So Mr. Sushil Bhatt, IIAD is offering proper girls' hostel accommodation as well as boys' hostel accommodation. I would request you to just visit the website once, and we have put pictures of hostel inside and outside, so just go and have a look.
Okay. Simran Chahal asks us if students can bring their digital work on the iPad.
Sure.
Not really.
Phone
No phone, please. We had enough of those.
All right. What would the internships be like?
Internship, we're looking at between second and third year. We would like the students to work for 4 weeks at least. And these kind of internships don't have to be specific to communication. It is more about understanding how the industry works. So they can look for their internship on their own, or we would also help them with that. Between third year and fourth year, the kind of internship is something that is credited. The marks go into the final year. So it's a good 12 weeks at least that we're looking at internships happening over 3 months minimum. So students are already being encouraged to put their portfolios together, and we also have resumes. We also have people who are inviting the students to come in. So we'll conduct over a period of time now, starting now, we'll have interviews happening in the college campus and students going. 2 or 3 have already found their internships and they'll be working with design studios. This is by their choice. Some of them want to work on films, so they're already contacting some people in Mumbai and so on. So, like faculty like Karan and all keep giving inputs on film or animation people. Like I have some contacts in design studios, so we will share that. And as faculty, we help. We also have a already existing corporate relations system.
Okay. So we have few questions from Gopal Krishna. So we've already answered one. There are 2, 3 more. What is the difference between video film design and interior space design, that is part of industrial design? And also there's another question that he asks, which has better prospects, communication design or industrial and product lifestyle accessory design?
It's all about how good your portfolio is at the end of 4 years. So we can't predict right now which is going to be a better prospect, because the world opens up for the person whose portfolio is good, who brings in a good work ethic. So as far as even understanding which has better prospects, I would strongly suggest you do the foundation. So by the end of foundation, you'll know where exactly you want to go. That's a better time, because we thankfully in IID don't stop a person from shifting. If you have opted to come for fashion in the beginning, and after 1 year, if you feel that you're really not inclined, or you find better prospects for you in IIT or in CD, we allow you to do that, as long as we can see your portfolio also to the same effect. It's necessary that you actually understand what the industry is going to offer and what you are going to offer to the industry. It's both ways. I don't think prospects exist for you to pick and choose like that.
Okay, so there's another question by Gopal Krishna. What is the difference
questioning person, yes.
What is the difference between graphic or animation film or video film design?
Okay, those are 3 different disciplines, Gopal. You're confusing. I feel Google will probably answer that basic question much better. But graphics would be any kind of text or any kind of design that you're implementing on a software like Photoshop, Illustrator. Animation film is when you're moving those elements to make an animation along with elements of sound. And video film would be when you're using a camera or any other tool to capture the moving image in front of you. So the 3 different disciplines.
All of them come under communication design, but thankfully.
Okay, there are a few questions about studio simulation. So there's Prakriti, and there's Prakriti again. She's asked that question. Do we work in groups in studio simulation?
That's right. The way we have planned it right now is not throwing you into the deep alone. You will have company. You'll have 3 or 4 people working with you. So we hope that it works out very well.
Okay, so Siddhantika asks us if communication is a broad part of advertising.
It is actually. Actually, communication is a small part of communication. Advertising is a small part of big thing. Communication is the umbrella. Advertising is one of the things we do within that.
Okay. Nivedita asks us how much of the course is filmmaking and Video Communication?
Nivedita, we typically have 2 modules, 4 weeks each of film and animation, which we have spread over the complete cycle of the program. But you also got to understand that you will be revising and reusing these tools for many of your other projects that you're doing. So just because you've done 4 weeks of film and 4 weeks of animation does not mean that that's done and over with. You might be working on an umbrella project where you're working on, say, a product that you're creating, and for that, you're using the camera to make an advertisement, or using animation for a promotional scheme. So those will be revised again and again.
What we're doing right now, our level 5 students, the third year students, are working on their final project for the year. So this is about one group of them working on film, one group of them working on experience, another looking at graphics and advertising, and others completely looking at new media, which is to do with apps or web design and stuff like that. So I mean, they can pick and choose. Once you know what you want to do, you can take it further.
Okay. That answers the studio simulation question. Fee for hostel.
Okay, so the hostel accommodation has a fee according to the rooms and beds. So I will recommend you one thing, please contact us for the same, so that as per your requirements, we can mail you, or we can explain you the entire fees. Approximately, it's 2.5 lakhs for an year.
All right, this is an interesting question by Sanatan Sai. Is it true that design education is very hectic? It's fun for sure, but is it really more difficult as compared to engineering? I've heard that it is way for some. I have heard it from design students.
No. What is hectic? That's a big question. And how much is hectic for you? If you like what you do, then you're ready to work through the night. Like how hectic do you find it when you're downloading music and listening to it till 3 o'clock at night? I don't think you call it hectic. You work anyway. So I mean, that's how much work you'll have to do. If you like what you do, you love it. It's not a chore if you like what you're doing. Otherwise, it can be quite a pain. Even writing ABCD was a pain when you were a baby, right? It's like that.
Karan sir, what is your view?
My view would be in every design discipline, you have to have a certain set of principles and habits when you're working, and it's better that you start working with studios and difficult projects to sort of have an understanding of how industry works. So the question of it being hectic or not is completely subjective. If you're not enjoying it, then anything is going to be hectic. If you're loving it, then it just becomes joyful and fun.
Okay, thank you so much. The next question is, in today's time, which industry is more progressive, fashion or communication?
Both.
How can you say progressive? No, what is progressive?
Both.
What is progressive? Okay, there's a lot of evolution happening in both. So whatever you want to do works very well for you. We're not going to tell you not to do fashion because you like communication design or otherwise. Like, we chose communication for our reasons. Like, not to say that we're not interested in fashion at all. Yes, but you choose. You have to choose.
Okay, we're running short of time, so this is I think going to be the last question that we're going to be taking. This is from Sonamika Mohanty. I have a question about the portfolio. We've answered this earlier. Is it okay if it is not out of my mind and it's something referred from the internet?
Sure, we've done that.
Right. All right. All right, Nivedita, we'll just take one more. Nivedita says that this is something that she's asking for her friend.
Mm-hmm.
How can IIAD help him if his focus is only on filmmaking?
See, the basics for all design is going to be the same. So it's possible that the person looking at film as an option right now might want to change after some time because he's learned other things. Like, we all come into a particular field with a certain amount of idea and exposure. So it's okay for him to learn the basics. Like, storytelling is going to be pretty much the same in whichever medium he chooses. So even if he wants to do film later, it's a good thing. Like, in 4 years of being here, the person will learn quite a bit. Yes. So whether he wants to do something else about film, there are other courses that other colleges offer. One should actually try, take a call after proper information has been seen. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Karan sir and Usha ma'am, and for all of you, if you have any further questions regarding the program or regarding the admissions process, please feel free to get in touch with us. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys, and we shall just end the webinar. Thank you.
Bye.